Hi, I'm Gary, and welcome to the galley. And in the galley today, collard greens, one of my favorites. But why are we making collard greens today? Well, because it's almost New Year's Day. And here in the South, we eat collard greens and black-eyed peas on New Year's Day, and that brings us wealth and prosperity into the new year. Now, the collard greens are the green folding money in that wealth and prosperity, and the black-eyed peas represent coins in that wealth and prosperity. Today, we're tackling the collard greens. Tomorrow, we're tackling the black-eyed peas. Now, these collard greens, they date back to prehistoric times, over 2,000 years. They're one of the oldest members of the cabbage family, related to Brussels sprouts, related to broccoli, related to cabbage. They are absolutely one of the most nutritious vegetables that you can eat, and they taste good too. So they're going to take us about an hour to cook. So let's get started on making these delicious collard greens. I can't wait. Okay, so I've got about 6 slices of bacon, and I've got this started to render. And while that's rendering, I want to show you how to get your greens ready to go into this pot. So for removing the vein, I always just fold it in half and tear down the vein just like that. Super easy. And then we're going to save these because these are brilliant for our collard green stock. And then we're going to wash our leaf before we cut it. Or you can fold them in half and just use your knife to go down like that. Now, washing your collard greens is really important. Greens can really hold on to dirt and sand, and because sometimes you can maybe come home with a few little critters attached to your greens. So for my very first wash, I do a little vinegar and a little salt, and this will help remove any critters if you happen to have any. And I really want to agitate my greens in here. And I don't want to pour this out because then I will pour that dirt right back onto my greens, because all of that sand and dirt is going to fall right to the bottom. And I'm going to just make sure they're nice and clean into my pan next door. And I'm going to continue to do this until all of my greens are clean. And then we're going to dump this. We're going to fill it back up, and we're going to do this all over again. So I'm filling this back up with fresh water. And we're going to do this a second time to wash our greens. And then we're actually going to do it a third time to make sure our greens are nice and clean and washed. So now we have our collard greens nice and clean, fairly dry. They don't have to be perfect. So now we have some choices again to make, and we can tear these into bite-sized pieces, or we can choose to cut them. And to cut them, you can lay them on top of each other, give them a roll, and chiffonade them, which is just ribbons. Now, a lot of people like to do their greens in ribbons, and you can choose skinny ribbons, you can choose fat ribbons, and then you have these ribbons. I prefer my greens cut into bite-sized pieces as opposed to ribbons or to tear them. So I'll just lay them on top of each other. Just give them a fold. Cut them. And then cut them, and then I end up with these bite-sized pieces. And that's just preference and just how I prefer to do mine. But it's honestly, I find, just as quick to just tear them. Now, collard greens are so good for you. They are packed with vitamins A, C, K, B6. They have calcium, potassium, magnesium, niacin. I mean, I just can't tell you the health benefits for collard greens. They have soluble fiber, which means that they absorb cholesterol before it can enter the bloodstream. They also have insoluble fiber, which means it gives good bacteria to your gut. So now you have your greens cleaned and cut or torn, however you chose to do that. And you save those stems to make your collard green stock, I hope. We got our bacon rendering over here, and as soon as that is a little bit crispy, we're going to add all the rest of our stuff. So you can see my bacon is just about rendered. So to that, I'm going to add onion. Now I did 2 sweet onions, but they were kind of on the small side, so if you have one big one, one should be fine. And we're going to let those cook until they're soft and translucent. So our onions have cooked down and gotten translucent. I'm going to add about 6 cloves of garlic. And I'm just going to give that just a minute to cook. Now I like to add some red pepper flakes, and I like to just put this in my mortar and pestle just to break it up just a little. I'm not looking to grind it. I just want to break it up just a little, and that helps release those oils that are in there and kind of bring it to life a little bit. I'm going to do a 1/4 cup of brown sugar. And I'm going to do a 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar. Now both of these things, this apple cider vinegar and the brown sugar, are going to help to sweeten these greens up. Now collard greens are at their best January through April, although you can eat them year round. That's when they're at their best. They like that cold and they like getting a bite of frost on them. Collard greens that have gotten a little frost on them tend to be sweeter. That frost takes that, a little bit of that bitterness out of them. You're going in with a smoked turkey leg, a little bit of garlic powder, and just, I would say, a teaspoon of garlic powder. And then hot sauce, well, that's up to you. How hot that you might like yours. I like a little heat, so I'm going to do a good bit of hot sauce there. And can't you just smell this? Oh, it is so amazing. And then in with your chicken stock, or in my case, my collard green stock. Three to 4 cups per pound. So we've got this delicious broth just waiting for our collard greens. But I want to cook this for about 45 minutes because I want that turkey leg to really get soft where I can pull it off the bone. And that takes longer than it takes to cook the greens. So I always get this started, and I'm just going with just a little bit of salt because I want to wait till the end and salt this to taste at the end. I don't want things getting too salty. So now that you've done with your greens and you removed those veins, you saved them because we're going to make that collard green stock with those veins. So as soon as we get our greens cooking, I'm going to show you how I make that nutrient dense collard green stock to cook these greens in. So don't throw those away. No waste here. And then you've washed them and you have decided to cut them into ribbons or cut them into bite-sized pieces or tear them, however you decided to do that. We are ready now because it's been about 45 minutes and we're ready to add these to our, what is going to be delicious pot liquor. So after our 45 minutes, we're just going to start adding our greens to this. Now again, I like a whole lot of stock in mine. I'm going to use this stock, this pot liquor that's left over, and use it to cook rice for black-eyed peas and rice, Hoppin' John's. I also like to eat my collard greens in a bowl with that pot liquor and then crumble my cornbread up in it. Now this looks like a lot, but as you can imagine, like spinach, this is going to cook down, and you can help that along by just, as you go, giving it a mix up. All right, so we're going to bring these up to a simmer. We're going to put the lid on and simmer them for 45 minutes. And then comes the best part, the eating. So my collard greens are cooking. I've got my timer set for 45 minutes. So this is a perfect time for you to hit the subscribe button. It's also the perfect time for me to show you how I make my collard green stock. So don't go anywhere. So to make your fresh, packed, full of nutrients collard green stock, you're gonna need turkey. Now, I like to do a mix of fresh and smoked. I get lovely, fresh turkey, protein, collagen when I use the fresh turkey, and I'm using the smoked turkey wing. And with that, that adds some of that nice smoked flavor to my stock. Now you can go straight into your stock pot with this, but I'm going to take it one step further and add some tomato paste and roast it in my oven for about 15 minutes. I'm going to do a little bit of tomato paste, a little bit of avocado oil, toss that around and roast it for about 15 minutes. Now this is just going to add a lot of depth to that stock. It's going to add nice color and a lot of depth of flavor. So I'm just going to toss that, put that on my roasting pan. Now I have my oven on 500 degrees because I just want to roast these, not bake them, but give them a nice, fast, hot roast. And to these, I'm going to add some vegetables. And it's just your basic mirepoix. You got your onions, celery, carrots. I've got some garlic and some bay leaf. So I'm going to pop that in my bowl. And I'm going to do the exact same thing I did with my turkey. I'm going to do some tomato paste, some avocado oil, and I like my avocado oil here because it's going to hold up well to that really high temperature that I have in my oven. So let me get these on my sheet tray here. And again, I've got my oven on 500. Let's pop those in there. So while we're roasting away, I want to talk to you about what is going to make this color green stock so special. Not only is it going to be delicious, but so nutritious and good for you. And that is using our veins from our color greens. Now, a lot of people just tear them out and throw them away. Some people chop them up real fine and add them to their color greens, and you can absolutely do that, but just chop them really fine because they take twice as long to cook as the leaves do. But I just like to use them and put them in my stock and really just pull out all of the nutrients that they have to offer. Please give them a rough chop. I just want to throw them in my pot here, and we're going to add all of those roasted vegetables to them. And instead of throwing something away, we are taking full advantage of it. So we have some nice char color. You can see that. So that helped to pincé that tomato paste so that it won't be bitter and open up the flavors. And into our pot, now we've got our veins in here. We're going to put our turkey in here. And all of these vegetables. It already smells good. All right. So I'm just going to add a few peppercorns. I'm going to cover this with water. Always use cold water, no matter what stock you're making, beef, chicken, pork, fish. Always start your stock in cold water. Now I know that sounds like a lot, but I am going to freeze batches of this so that this winter, as I make color greens, I can just pull that out of the freezer. So if I'm going to take the time, this time of love, to really make this beautiful, rich, good for you stock, then I'm going to double that up and then have that to be easy on me in the future. So we're going to keep an eye on this, and in 2 hours we'll strain it and we'll have our color green stock. So you can see our stock has started to come to a boil, and when you see this foam that develops on the top, you just want to take a spoon and just skim it off. So our stock has been cooking for 2 hours, so it's time to drain it. I like to take these big pieces out first, because then I find when I'm pouring it, I don't have those big pieces hitting and splashing up. So I just find this makes it easier. So I'm just going to do this through the cheesecloth straight into the container that I want to keep it in. Now let this cool completely before you put it in the refrigerator. It will last in the refrigerator for up to 2 weeks. And I made a lot of stock. I'm going to have a good 1.5 gallons, and I'm going to freeze that, and then I'm going to have color green stock in the freezer for the next couple times that I make color greens. And how beautiful is that? And just look at the color. Do you see that beautiful color and how beautiful that is? So we're getting close to our timer going off for our greens, and I'm going to pull that turkey leg out so it can cool down enough for me to be able to oh, it smells so good. I'm so excited. I can't wait. Let that cool down so that I can pull that meat off. And in the meantime, getting ready for tomorrow, I am soaking my black-eyed peas and just looking to see if I find any that I don't think look all that good. And here's a couple. So I'm going to pull those out. Cover your peas by a good 3 inches of water. And we're going to set those aside. Now, I hope that you watched how I made my collard green stock, because it is just so easy to do. Once you get it on the stove, you've got 2 hours just to go live your life. I know it's not as easy as buying one of those box things or using the better than bouillon. I know that that's easier, but do your body a favor, do your family a favor, and just take the time to make that little bit of labor of love. You're gonna make a lot, you're gonna have a lot, it's gonna save you tons of money. You're gonna have extra in the freezer. So we're going to pull all the meat off of this turkey leg, chop it up, throw it in our greens. And I'm gonna go ahead, we got about 5 minutes before our timer goes off, and just do a little taste to see if I think I need to adjust the seasoning. Now, I know there are tons of people that cook their greens for 3 to 4 hours and just really cook them down. And if that's how you like them, then that's how you should do them. So I don't like mine cooked down to that extent. I usually go about 45 minutes. And it's perfect. Oh, it tastes so good. I do think the only thing I want to add is a couple pinches of salt. And I think that's it. I'm gonna grab a knife and help me get some of this turkey meat off of here to chop up and add to our greens. So time is up. I've got all that turkey in there. Now, if you want to do smoked pork butt and go pork instead of turkey, please feel free to do that. Make your collard green stock the exact same way. Just use your pork instead of the turkey. I'm going pork with the black-eyed peas, so I thought I'd go turkey with the greens. So we've got the turkey cut up in there. And now it's going to be time to taste. I've got tons of that pot liquor. Makes me so happy, that pot liquor. Do extra pot liquor. Use it to cook rice in. Crumble up your cornbread in it. Or if you're just not feeling well, then just warm some up and drink it. It is just packing vitamins and nutrients into your body. Now, this is a little warm here, but I hope that you make collard greens this New Year's. I hope that the new year brings you health, wealth, prosperity, happiness. I really hope that you start making your own stocks and you make this collard green stock. So here we go. Can't wait. Something just hit the top of the boat. Did you hear that? Oh, so good. Just perfect. Adjust yours however you like. You might want a little more hot sauce. You might need a little more salt. Might need a little more pepper. I mean, for me, they're just perfect. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget, have a great New Year's. Happy New Year's, everybody. Safe cruising. So delicious.